Hello students, welcome to Entrance Wise, and today we're gonna continue the chapter that we had started before, Anatomy of Flowering Plants. It will be part 3 of the chapter, and in this lesson you're gonna learn about permanent tissues. The last lecture was about meristematic tissues, and this lecture is about permanent tissues. So at first we can divide the permanent tissues into two sections. The first one is simple permanent tissues and the second one is complex permanent tissues. The simple permanent tissues are divided into three subcategories. One is Parenchyma, the second one is Collenchyma, the third one is Sclerenchyma, and the complex permanent tissues are divided into two sections. The first one is xylem and the second one is phloem. Why the first classes of permanent tissues are called simple permanent tissues? Because this type of permanent tissue are made up of only one type of cells, and the complex permanent tissues are called complex because this type of tissues are made up of many different type of cells. In simple permanent tissues, first we are going to discuss about parenchyma. So let's see what are the features of the parenchyma. Parenchyma forms the major component within the organs. The cells of parenchyma are generally isodiametric. This term is very important, isodiametric. It means the diameter is moreover the same. As you can see in the picture here, the diameter is moreover the same. The walls are thin and made up of cellulose. As you can see in the picture, the walls are thin cell walls and they are made up of cellulose. Parenchymatous cells are closely packed or have small intercellular spaces. As you can see in the picture, it has small intercellular spaces. Okay. The parenchymatous tissue cells helps in photosynthesis, storage and secretion. The next type of simple permanent tissue is Collenchyma. Let's see the features of Collenchyma. It occurs in layers below the epidermis in most of the dicot plant. We will going to discuss about the layers that is present in the dicot plant in the later videos. But for your information, we can say that if this is epidermis, let's suppose this is epidermis. So the collenchymatous cells will be present just below the epidermis. Okay, this will be the layer of collenchyma in most of the dicotyledonous plants. Okay, this collenchymatous tissue found either as homogeneous layers or in patches. Okay, so these cells of Collenchyma might be a homogeneous layers like this, or it might be present as patches like this. Okay, the next point, cells are much thickened at the corner due to deposition of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. As you can see in the picture, as you can see here, the cell walls are pretty thick and they have no intercellular spaces. They have literally no intercellular spaces. Cellular space. Why? Why this type of Collenchyma, this type of simple permanent tissues have no intercellular spaces? Because this point, due to deposition of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Okay, yeah, the fourth point is also that I've just talked now. No intercellular space available in this type of tissues. This Collenchyma tissues helps in mechanical support to the growing parts of the plants, such as young stem or petiole of leaf. Okay, if this is a young stem, this collenchymatous tissue will gonna help this stem to be erected. Okay, or it might help to strengthen the petiole of a leaf. Petiole means this part. Okay, the next section of the simple permanent tissues is Sclerenchyma. In Sclerenchyma, we can see the features are, it's long, narrow cells with thick and lignified cell walls having a few or numerous pits. Okay, long, narrow cells with thick and lignified cell walls having a few or numerous pits. Okay, as you can see in the picture, these are the cells of Sclerenchyma: long, narrow, thick and lignified cell walls having a few or numerous pits. As you can see, these are the pits. Okay, these are usually dead or without protoplasm. This point is very important. Sclerenchymatous tissue cells most of the time are usually dead or without protoplasm. Okay, we can divide Sclerenchyma into two types. The first type is fibers and the second type is sclerites. Okay, fibers are thick-walled, elongated and pointed cells. So as you can see in the picture, these are the fibers and these are the sclerites. The sclerites are highly thickened dead cells with very narrow cavity. It's called lumen. These are the lumen, and commonly found in this section of examples are very important for you, because in past years I think there have not been asked questions, or I think there were 1, 2, 3 questions from this part of the chapter. So you have to remember all these examples very carefully. Okay, the first example is fruit whorls of nuts, pulp of fruits like guava, pear and sapota, seed coats of legumes, leaves of tea. How it helps? So where does Sclerenchyma helps in? Sclerenchyma helps in mechanical support to the organs. It provides mechanical support to the organs of the plants. So now we're gonna skip to the. So students, here we have the questions. At first, we have this question. Question number 1. Identify the permanent tissues shown in the following figures. Okay, this is picture number 1, this is picture number 2, and this is picture number 3. At the first picture, we have the cells which have thin primary wall, intercellular space, and a nucleus. Let's see if you can answer it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right. It's parenchyma. Why? Because all these features belong to parenchyma. Parenchyma has tissue, has cells that has small intercellular spaces, thin primary wall, and nucleus. Okay? Let's see if you can answer the next image. What it is. You're right. It's Collenchyma. Why? Because as I told you before, the collenchymatous cells have highly thickened corners due to deposition of cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. So it's collenchyma. Let's see if you can answer the third image. It has thick secondary wall, pointed end wall, and primary wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right. It's Sclerenchyma. Why? Because sclerenchymatous tissue cells has thick secondary wall, pointed end wall, and primary walls, as you can see, like this. Okay, it's sclerenchyma. So option A is parenchyma, option B is collenchyma, and option C is sclerenchyma. I think the option D is correct. Okay, let's skip to the next question. Simple permanent living tissue which is made up of thin walled isodiametric cells is called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right. It's parenchyma tissue. Why? As I had told you before, parenchymatous cells have isodiametric cells with thin walled. Okay, I told you this isodiametric term is very important in this part of the chapter. Okay, let's skip to the next question. Question number 3. Simple tissue which constitutes few layers below the epidermis in dicotyledonous plants are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right. It's collenchyma. Why? As I told you before, collenchymatous cells constitutes few layers below the epidermis in the dicot plants as homogeneous layers or patches. Okay? The question number 4. Cells of collenchyma have thickened corners due to deposition of, it's pretty easy, due to deposition of, okay, cellulose, pectin, and hemicellulose. So the correct option will be option D, all of this. Option number 5. Question number 5, sorry. Sclerenchyma fibers are narrow and thick walled, elongated with numerous pits, dead without protoplast, all of the above. You're right, it's pretty easy. It's all of the above. Because it has narrow and thick walled, elongated with numerous pits, dead without protoplast. Okay. And now we have this question, question number 6. Sclerenchyma mainly provides storage tissue to the plants, mechanical support to the organs of the plants. I think this, you don't have to read the other options. I think option B will be correct. Mechanical support to the organs of the plants. Okay. I think the last question. Which of the following is not a feature of sclerites or stone cells? Let's read the options. Variously shaped, highly thickened with lignified cell wall and narrow lumen, commonly found in the fruit, walls of nuts, seed coats of legumes, and leaves. They are a type of parenchyma. I think option D is correct because it's pretty easy, which is not a feature of sclerites. So sclerites cannot be in parenchyma. Okay, it's in the part of sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is divided into two types, fibers and sclerites. Okay, so I have ended this part of the chapter, and in next part we're gonna continue with complex permanent tissues. Okay, there I'm gonna teach you about xylem and phloem. So thank you students, keep hustling and keep fighting for your dreams. Okay, tada.